Welcome to our Emergency Preparedness video series. This is one of 12 videos that will become available during this year, one each month. First, let us introduce ourselves. I'm Jennifer Ponce, the Office of Emergency Services Coordinator for the City of Morgan Hill.
And I'm Randy Christensen, an instructor for Morgan Hill's Community Emergency Response Team. Being prepared for disasters and emergencies can seem like a big job. Many people don't know where to start, so they never start at all. Do One Thing is a 12-month program that has been adopted nationally by emergency services of many counties. The program makes it easy for you to prepare yourself, your family, and your community for emergencies or disasters. The goal of this presentation is to inform you on what you can do now to help people within your family, neighborhood, and community by getting trained and involved.
Our objectives are threefold. Select an isolated person that you know of within your neighborhood, or help start a neighborhood program or organization. Be an advocate for emergency preparedness in your neighborhood, church, private organization, or your community. Seek out an organization which supports your community during times of disaster.
When disaster strikes, our police, fire, and emergency medical services will become overwhelmed and unable to quickly reach all people who need aid. It takes committed people from your neighborhood, your church, your school, and many other volunteer organizations. When people are trained and willing to work together and help each other, our communities are stronger.
The key to a disaster-resilient community are volunteers who are involved. They are willing and capable of being able to look out for their families and neighbors. A resilient community is able to withstand or recover quickly from a disaster or difficult conditions.
Neighbors and friends that work together before disaster strikes are able to better help each other. They can assist each other to be connected with available resources and services after a disaster, and that all have their needs met. Can be advocates to get things done with their neighborhood, to mitigate damage before a disaster, and to help everyone return to normal. If your neighborhood has a watch program, a homeowners association, or other organization that has a vested interest in your wellness and safety, join it. Talk to members about what types of disasters can affect your families and homes, and discuss the importance of strong neighborhoods. If you don't have an organization bringing your neighbors together, think about starting one with the help of one of your neighbors.
Individuals who are alone or isolated before disaster strikes are many times reluctant to ask others for help. They are also less likely to listen to or follow emergency instructions. Let them know that you'll be the one to check on them if and when a disaster strikes. Ask if you can help them plan and prepare for emergencies and disasters. Most people will welcome the assistance.
People respond well to information that comes from others that they know and trust. Host a Build an Emergency Kit party. Invite your neighbors and friends to an informal information meeting at your home. Have handouts listing suggested contents of different types of emergency kits. Have examples or displays showing 72-hour kits, bug-out bags, breakout kits for at work, and family emergency kits.
Host a workshop or discussion on designing a financial first aid kit. This isn't like the typical financial planning seminars that people attend when thinking about retiring. This is talking about what papers and information to have quickly available if you need to evacuate or if a disaster strikes your home. Help your friends to understand what financial and insurance papers are needed for quick evacuation or recovery. The internet has many financial recovery kits available online. Your insurance agent may have one also that should be free.
Be the host of an evacuation workshop. Work with the Red Cross, the fire department, or a local church, and have your neighbors learn how to operate an evacuation shelter. Encourage your schools and churches to conduct activation drills. Invite your fellow neighbors to learn how to prepare for evacuations and what to expect if they have to go to a shelter.
Merchants and stores will many times allow you to set up window displays. Some suggestions are displaying 72-hour kits with suggested items that these kits should contain. Display what should be in your food pantry that will sustain a family for 2 weeks during an emergency or disaster. Show what types of containers are good for water storage. Include a display of different types of water filters and purifiers.
Every person has some skill that they can develop and/or contribute. Thus, you can be an asset to your community if you volunteer. During a disaster, volunteers can be independently working within their own neighborhood, or they can be a coordinator workforce with first responders and their city's emergency management team. There are numerous organizations with different interests and available trainings.
Citizen Corps was created after the 9/11 attack to the Twin Towers in 2001. The government recognized that first responders would be overwhelmed in major emergencies and disasters. They saw the need for trained volunteers to assist the professionals in times of need. 5 programs were created, with each one having specific goals, training, and responsibilities. The major goal of these programs is to make our families, homes, and communities safer with an ability to respond to emergencies.
Citizen Corps falls under the Department of Homeland Security. The 5 organizations that were created are CERT, our Community Emergency Response Team, Medical Reserve Corps, our MRC, Fire Corps, Volunteers and Police Service, our VIPS, and lastly, Neighborhood Watch.
Community emergency response teams fall under the direction of local cities, towns, and counties. Training is typically 20 hours and includes emergency preparedness, disaster medicine, including triage, search and rescue, and fire prevention, to name a few. They normally work with and may be trained by fire and police departments. Trainees are encouraged to use their skills to assist their families and neighbors. Many cities have created CERT teams and meet regularly for refresher and advanced training. Contact your local emergency management office if this spikes your interest. The Medical Reserve Corps, or MRC, is a network of volunteers who become local teams that work to improve the health and safety of their communities. Most of the members of the MRC have formal medical or veterinary training. They directly support first responders and public health departments. Fire Corps seeks to bolster local fire departments with volunteer firefighters to assist with emergencies and disasters. VIPs, or Volunteers in Police Service, is a gateway to resources and information for and about law enforcement volunteer groups. The Neighborhood Watch program was expanded and includes terrorism awareness education into its existing crime prevention mission. It is administered by the National Sheriff's Association.
The Citizen Corps Affiliate Program is the umbrella for assisting non-government preparedness programs with public education, outreach, and training. Examples are the American Red Cross. In addition to first aid training and blood banks, Red Cross volunteers are the primary specialists when it comes to emergency shelters. To get more information about becoming a Red Cross volunteer, contact your local chapter. In the greater San Jose area, that would be the Silicon Valley chapter. For Monterey, Santa Cruz, and San Benito counties, that would be the Central Coast chapter. VOAD, our Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster, is a coalition of nonprofit organizations that respond to disasters as part of their overall mission. When a disaster occurs, VOAD coordinates planning efforts and works at eliminating redundancy while coordinating volunteer response with its 110 partners. Some of the partners are Catholic Charities, Presbyterian Disaster Assistance, Latter-day Saint Charities, and Team Rubicon.
Ham radio operators have been a communications backbone during many major disasters. Each ham operator is considered an amateur and is licensed through the AARL, or American Radio Relay League. ARES, ARES, the Amateur Radio Emergency Service, is AARL's arm of emergency services. When ham radio operators are responding to civil emergencies and working with our government, they are part of RACES, the Radio Amateur Civil Emergency Services. Ham or amateur radio operators support emergency management and first responders at different events such as disasters or large activities. It used to be fairly difficult to get a ham radio license, but in recent years has become easier. You no longer have to know Morse code. Training classes are now offered where they teach you how to pass the license test in one day. They have a success rate of around 95%. Once you have your license, you can start talking on a ham radio. To get to know the rules and hardware better, there are ham radio clubs you can join. The men and women of these clubs graciously share their knowledge and expertise. You can most likely find your local club with an easy search on the internet. To learn more about Citizen Corps and find which programs you may be interested in, go to the Citizen Corps website.
To be effective in an emergency, you need to be prepared before a disaster strikes. Sign up now to get training. You'll also need to always be ready. Keep refreshing your skills and practice often. Tight-knit neighborhoods that prepare make for more resilient communities.
In review, we have discussed 3 basic areas on how to get involved before disaster strikes. Connect with those individuals who are isolated in your neighborhood. You should also consider starting or joining a neighborhood organization. Be an advocate of emergency preparedness in your neighborhood and community. Consider becoming a volunteer in your community. Those skills you develop will be priceless when disaster strikes. Thank you for your time. This concludes the Do One Thing presentation on Get Involved.